guess I'll do it again, huh? It is now 5 o'clock, and I will call the Tuscaloosa Zoning Board of Adjustments meeting to order. Welcome to our April 28th, 2025 meeting of the City of Tuscaloosa Zoning Board of Adjustments. Now, any written comments sent to staff were forwarded to the board directly. Introduction of our staff and members: Chad Hobbs, Senior Associate City Attorney; Hudson Cheshire, Associate City Attorney; Zach Pons, Director of Planning; Jonathan Bowen, Zoning Administrator; Angie Terrell, in the back, Administrative Assistant; Mr. Kevin Jones, helping with videos, also in the back. I ask that the board members introduce themselves, starting to my left.
Joseph Eman, Sr.
Marty Hamner.
Mary Catherine Holt.
Chair, Michelle Coley.
Paul Rollins, Jr.
Okay, the purpose of the Zoning Board of Adjustments, by virtue of state law and city ordinances, the purpose of the Zoning Board of Adjustments is as follows: hears appeals from zoning officer decisions, grants special exceptions to the zoning code in accordance with the terms as established by the City Council, grants variances from zoning code when strict enforcement creates unnecessary hardship. Circumstances that are not hardship include those that are self-inflicted or self-created, inconvenient, and/or personal. Now, the Zoning Board of Adjustment does not interpret or enforce subdivision covenants or HOA rules. Those matters are not relevant areas of inquiry by the board on any petition. Now, there were sign-up sheets located outside for public comment. 4 speakers are allowed to speak in favor of a petition, and 4 speakers are allowed to speak in opposition to a petition. All speakers will have a maximum of 5 minutes unless the board votes to allow a longer time. Now, the board will take up items in the order of our final agenda. The board will initially receive a presentation from the staff as to the details of the agenda item. After the staff's presentation, I will call upon the petitioner to present their case. Now, the petitioner will have a maximum of 10 minutes unless the board votes to allow a longer time. At the conclusion of the petitioner's remarks, I will call on any party in order of sign-up who desires to support the petition. Thereafter, I will call on any party in order of sign-up those who oppose the petition. Now, when it's your turn for comment, please introduce yourself, stating your name and address to the board to provide your remarks, and any written comments have been included into the record. Now, after receiving the remarks of those who oppose the petition, the petitioner will have the opportunity to respond to those objections. Any rebuttal will be limited to 2 minutes unless the board votes to allow a longer time. Now, if the petitioner presents any new information in response to the objections, the board will allow those who oppose the petition the opportunity to respond to the new information only. Now, any response will be limited to 2 minutes unless the board votes to allow a longer time. Now, during the course of this presentation, you may be interrupted by any member of the board for clarification or additional information. Now, such interruptions will not reduce your allowed time limit. Now, once the board members are satisfied that they have received all relevant information, I will close further discussion by the public, at which time the board members will discuss the matter and then vote. After the vote, you are free to leave. Now, these proceedings are video recorded and broadcast live. All in-person public comments should be made at the podium into the microphone. Now, any party aggrieved by a final judgment or decision of such Zoning Board of Adjustments may, within 15 days thereafter, appeal therefrom to the circuit court by filing with such board a written notice of appeal specifying the judgment or decision from which the appeal is taken. Now, do any members of the board have any conflicts of interest as to any agenda matters? If so, please state the same for the record. No?
No.
Okay. Now, I would like for the staff to confirm on record that proper notice has been given to all parties in interest as required by law as to all matters before the board tonight.
Yes, it has.
Okay. Does the Office of the City Attorney have any updates on pending cases to present to us this evening?
No, ma'am, we do not.
Okay. Now, with that, we will begin with the approval of our minutes, as the Board of Adjustments has received the synopsis for the November, December, January, and February meeting. I move that we dispense with the reading of the minutes of the same unless there are any deletions, additions, or corrections. Okay? Do we do them individually, or we can do them all?
You could do them collectively.
Do all at once?
Yep.
Okay. So I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Voting to my left?
Yes.
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 All right, approved. Move to the petitions.
Good afternoon, Board. We will move cases to be heard, beginning with ZBA 1625. Spark Learning, Inc., DBA Primer Micro Schools petitions for a special exception to operate a private school on the property located at 3325 University Boulevard East. This property is on GC, Council District 5. Here we have the zoning of the property, as well as an aerial view and a closer-up of the building in question. So the petitioner is requesting a special exception to operate a private K-8 school. It will initially serve 75 students and eventually house up to 180 students. The hours of operation will be from 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. There will be 56 parking spaces, including a driveway circulation system located within the site. And the petitioner proposes an outdoor playground area to the rear of the site. The location of that playground will be reviewed during the permitting process, and if approved, the petitioner plans to renovate the building to meet all fire, building, and safety codes. Here we have those applicable regulations. This is specifically for schools K-12. Looking at the site plan, the only building that the petitioners are occupying is that building located to the front. As you can see, there is an existing building in the rear. They have no intentions to occupy that building, so we're just focused on the front. And then these were the floor plans provided by the petitioner. They will make extensive alterations if this request were to be approved. We did receive several public comments in opposition to this request, and we do have the representatives here in person. Do you have any questions for staff?
Any questions? Not at this time. Okay, so we have the petitioner.
Good afternoon. My name is Stephen Bridgers. I am the general manager for Primer. Here, our goal is to bring a wonderful school here to the Alberta area. First off, let me say thank you all for volunteering your hours here. I was on the Historical Commission in 2011 post the tornado and understand what it's like spending your nights dealing with things that are for the betterment of the city, so I very much appreciate that. And as a Tuscaloosa City Schools graduate of Central, class of 2000, I am grateful to be bringing new educational opportunities here to the kids in Tuscaloosa. Our desire is to create a school that will serve students in the community. We have had multiple conversations with Councilman Tyner, who's very excited about what we're doing here. I know this building has been one that the city and the area of Alberta has been wanting to make sure there's something that's coming there and adding to the community, and we think there's nothing better to add to the community than a school that can serve students. Our model is one that we have campuses in Florida and Arizona, and it's a model that has won some national awards for the academic achievement that we show with our students. We invest a lot in our curriculum and in technology to make sure that kids are showing extraordinary growth and that their learning velocity is really exceptional. And so that's something that we're very glad to be able to bring to Tuscaloosa. This is a place that we have 27 families that are committed so far to bring their kids to the school. We have teachers that are excited to be a part of what we're doing here. And all we want to do is come and be a part of Alberta, be a part of the city's improvements that's going on there. We're excited about some of the plans that we've read online of how the sidewalks going in and all the stuff like that that's been discussed. And we're thrilled to be good neighbors there, and would love to answer any questions that you may have about our program.
So have you all canvassed the neighborhood to see what the response is of the people around you?
So for that, what we haven't gone door to door necessarily, but we've been in conversation with Councilman Tyner quite a bit. Had a lot of phone calls with him, and using kind of him as our sounding board. And he's told us that generally he's had a lot of support for what we're doing. I know in the past that the other options that the proposals that have been brought for the former drugstore have been a nightclub, package store, things like that are more disruptive. We're a school, and so we don't see any disruption to the community. Just operating normal school hours, being able to support the kids that are in the community. Most of our students that have applied have been from somewhat close to the Alberta area. We also have some students coming from the county and other areas as well that we'll be serving. But most of the feedback, again, from Councilman Tyner has been very positive.
So concerns about traffic, can you talk us through what you're going to do? Because usually with the school, you have pickup and drop off. Can you talk about traffic?
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, and this is one of the things that we had made an internal decision and had not yet been able to communicate to the city, that 180 student number is something that we have internally decided to cut in half to a 90 cap of students. So I certainly understand some questions about traffic and traffic patterns, but that's something that will be significantly limiting by cutting the number of students at the school in half.
Will it still be K through 8?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, still K through 8 school, but with that 90 cap of students. And so I'm not a traffic engineer certainly, but we are essentially following the same entrance and exits that Jim Myers Drug has had since it was built. So if you're at that facility, they have one side of it is for entrance only and one side of it is exit only. And that drugstore used to have a drive-through, so there was constantly traffic going through there back in its heyday. So we will be keeping the same traffic patterns that Jim Myers had there.
So will they have to go around the school and back out or across the front of the parking lot?
So the plan is to go across the front of the parking lot.
Any other questions?
Are you all anticipating using just the building as it is now with some minor renovations, or are you just going to construct a brand-new building? Because I think I saw where it says you're going to have a 2-story.
So that's part of the changes that we'll only be using the first story now. So students will only be on the first story. But yes, there will be some renovations that need to be done. Obviously, with the school year starting in August, we're excited and know it'll be a schedule that we need to be on top of things. But yes, we'll be doing renovations to that first floor, meeting all the zoning, all the building codes that are required by the city. We've been in conversations with the city beforehand, before we brought the application here, so we had a good idea of what we needed to do and make sure we're following all codes, and the city's been fantastic to work with so far.
And so can you flip back to the plans? So tell us what's going to be adjusted now. Okay.
So the where you see the second floor, which is the bottom photo, that will now we will leave it as and will not be doing any work on that second floor. Just in analyzing the building and everything, we thought its best use, rather than trying to get extra classrooms in there, was to just make sure the building is serving our classrooms on the first floor.
So it's only going to be 3 classrooms for 90 children?
Correct.
How does that work out?
Yeah, so our model, and this could be a long conversation about kind of how we do education, but we utilize our teachers, and we utilize a lot of technology, and we utilize virtual teachers that are stationed around the country to have our students in pods, in learning pods, that they're moving around the classroom constantly. And so we're able to, again, that the 90 kids is a cap. Frankly, we will probably never get there, but that's where we set our cap. So usually this first year, we'll probably be expecting between 20 kids in the classroom to 25, but we're able to move them around, educate them well, make sure the parents are aware of where their kids are from an education standpoint. We've actually developed an app, so our parents go into the app, and our parents know exactly where our child is academically. So these kids that will be here at our primer, those parents will have a better understanding of where their kid is academically on a day-to-day basis than any other school in Alabama, which is really exciting to be offering that to kids here in Alberta.
And for your hours, I know you mentioned either 8 to 6 or 7 to 6. So will you have staggered times? Since you're going to go K through 8, are all kids going to arrive at the same time and they end at the same time, or are you going to do like the city school system with the elementary may get out at 2:45 and then?
No, so everyone will, so we have early care, so parents will arrive at different times, and then we have aftercare that we offer as well. So in our other campuses, what we find out is about 60% of our parents are utilizing aftercare, obviously, and so that's why we have staff there until 6. So usually we don't see, everyone's not lined up right at the time that kids are exiting, because the majority of parents are utilizing aftercare, so that's going to be more staggered until that 6 o'clock closing.
My question would be, you mentioned renovations. I've never really seen a classroom without windows, and I noticed that building does not have windows. that, I mean, that might be a question for you or city staff. I mean, are windows something that will be required to be added to? I mean, I don't know if that's a fire, or is that a plan of you all to add windows to those classrooms? That's for safety measures.
You can answer.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that, but I would assume that they're going to have 2 points of ingress, egress, and so I would assume that windows would be required.
Yeah, well, yeah, we will have windows in all classrooms, yeah. These aren't our final plans. This was kind of an initial thing to draw up for this purpose.
And that, again, as he mentioned, the permitting process, we will, fire reviews those, building reviews them, planning reviews them. So we'll definitely make sure that they're.
So they just need us to say, okay, that it can be used
For
at
the
the school,
use, yes,
and then they'll go through the rest.
They would not be able to use it without
The final
extensive upgrades.
Okay, got you. Anything else for us?
No, ma'am, I'm good, unless you have any other questions.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a couple of people signed up in opposition. First, Mr. Patrick Frantum.
Hi. Yeah, thank you to the board for the opportunity to speak. In terms of the...
You got to state your name and your address.
Yeah, Patrick Franum, 1222 38th Avenue East in Druid Hills, so right up the hill from this. As a professional educator, I do have some kind of big concerns about the way the school is structured. We just had a national fight about making sure that our kids go to school and aren't in front of screens, that virtual schooling is bad. And now we're putting something that's going to be all virtual and AI run. I also have some concern about this voluntary cap. Part of the marketing materials is that teachers who, in a public school, if you have more students, you get paid the same. And in the micro schools, one of the pluses is that if you bring in more students, the teachers will have higher salaries, and they market that as a pro. But that's essentially going to mean that in order to make more money for this for-profit company, they need to recruit more and more students. So I have some philosophical problems there. But really, I'm here to talk about the traffic. I'm on that road every single day going between my house and the university. I found it interesting that the Airbnb variances that you guys are going to consider later had two very specific points about will not have a substantially adverse impact on vehicular and pedestrian safety, and will not have a substantial adverse impact on vehicular traffic. Those are two outline things that you have to consider that wasn't listed in the case before us right now. And so I think that's a really important aspect. We're talking about a road that is already heavily burdened with traffic. So Councilman Tyner knows, we've worked with him on at least two different public sessions in the last 12 months on a proposed fix for the 5 Points intersection at Druid Hills and University. He's also worked on a major reconstruction of the road for the western part of University, so he knows there are significant traffic problems there. Those traffic problems get worse at rush hours, which is when pickup and drop-off will be. According to the engineers that did the study on those plans, the main type of accident that happens on that road is side swipes. That generally happens from people changing lanes very quickly when the lane is blocked in front of them. There's no turning lane on University. You only have 2 lanes. If anyone is making a left turn, the lane is blocked. That's the main problem at Hillsdale. If anyone is trying to make a right turn and we end up filling up the drop-off space, which will only hold about 3 to 4 cars, that road is going to back up. Now, you guys may not be on University very much, but I know you probably go on 15th and Veterans and have seen the backup at 7 Brew, have seen the backup at Starbucks, and you probably don't like taking that road very much because it's dangerous, right? We are setting up a condition where this is going to be a dangerous situation, specifically at the times where we have the most traffic on the road. And that's really my main concern as someone who goes back and forth. Most of the people who are going to be making left turns are going to have children in their car, and that also is a huge concern. So I would just urge you to use the same metrics that you're thinking about in terms of the safety of opening up an Airbnb to vehicular traffic, that really we probably need to be thinking about this for a 90-student school as well. So thank you for your time.
Amanda Moakley.
May I distribute materials to the board? My name is Amanda Mulkey. I'm a resident of Druid Hills at 1222 38th Avenue East. Madam Chairman, thank you for allowing me to speak. And I'm gonna
You got to talk in the mic, so.
I'm accustomed to being real loud. I'll do that. Thank you for giving the time to consider this issue before you that it needs. This is a really important issue to the people that live in the area on a lot of different levels. There are philosophical concerns, there are, traffic concerns, there are health and safety concerns, and you've already heard Patrick touch on the traffic concerns. And I'll touch on those again, but what I would like to address first is the application or the petition that is before you is the petition that is before you, right? This is the petition that was submitted to you. What you just heard from Mr. Bridgers is substantially different from this. It is like it is a completely different application. I haven't seen the new plans. No one in the public has seen the new plans. It is something that is different enough that I don't think the board should really even consider this if there's something totally different that they plan to do. Probably the community needs to be given notice of that. The community didn't get a lot of notice about it unless you were within that 500-foot zone and the Postal Service happened to get your mail to you. I know I didn't hear about it until last week, and then there was a great deal of confusion about what was actually before the board. There was a city official that was making public and private assertions about what was before the board. And I think the confusion comes in on the second page of the staff report. On the second page of the staff report that's before you, it talks some about a playground. So what's before you is actually the special exception use. This is general commercial. A school wants to come in for general commercial. It's not allowed, special exception. But that city official was telling concerned citizens that no, the special exception has already been granted. Now, some of this was done in writing and in a public forum, and that the only thing before you today was a playground, a variance for a playground. Now, I know to go to the website. I know to look at the agenda, I know to look at the petition, but a lot of people were very concerned that, oh, this is a done deal, it's already happened, there's nothing we can do about it because it's already done. All this is about is a playground. And thankfully that got cleared up, but it did not get cleared up entirely until Friday afternoon. That's one business day before this meeting. That is not a lot of time for public engagement. And just talking to a member of the council is not engaging the public. One person, though they represent us on the city council, does not have the opinions of everyone that's impacted. And if you live anywhere around there, or if you commute through that area, you are going to be greatly impacted, and at the big commute times of the day. That's a major thoroughfare for people coming in from, the direction of Birmingham, coming into campus. It's a major direction for people commuting out. It's right over there by Crescent Ridge Road. I'm sure y'all are familiar with the area if you've been around Tuscaloosa for a long time, like I think you have been. It is uphill. It is around a curve. There is a obscured sight line right by that trailer park. Let's actually look at on my packet, the next to last page.
You've got 53 seconds, okay?
On the next to last page, it demonstrates some of the traffic challenges there. That drop-off area is only 130 feet. There are not, you can't get many cars in 130 feet, and that traffic's gonna back up. Anybody that's dropped off kids in the morning knows it's a production. So there are other concerns about granting permission for a special use, especially the classrooms not having windows. There are decades of research that indicate that that is detrimental to mental health, physical health, behavior. You get a decrease in pro-social behaviors when you're in a windowless space. Any of you who've had to work in a windowless space know that. I see that my time is up. Thank you so much, and I hope you will consider this with all of the attention it deserves. Thank you.
We don't have anyone else signed to speak in opposition or in favor. If someone in the audience would like to speak in favor or in opposition, you can come forward now.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Madam Chairman and board members. I'm Charlie Beavers, 4301 Dolly Ridge Road in Birmingham, 35243, and I'm here on behalf of the applicant. Would this be the appropriate time to make, in effect, the response to the issues? I think that's, and if there are any further questions or issues that I raise that you all want specific information about the operation of school, then, Stephen Bridgers can come up.
Sorry to interrupt, but if he's responding to them, we probably should wait until public
Right.
comment is closed.
Okay.
So we're going to
Because you're
wait.
part of the application.
However you want to do it.
Okay. If there's
Okay.
anybody else that wants to speak for or against the application. Yes, sir.
My name is Michael Cornwell. I live at 3304 University Boulevard, almost directly across the street from this. It surprises me that anybody would even try to put that number of vehicles in there, because when you come off University Boulevard and try to go in the front circle there, you can have 3 or 4 cars in there. Leaping around the building, I don't know. But something else that's not even considered in this is our University Boulevard expansive project. They got stakes out there, and they got stakes in my yard, so I know where the new right-of-way is going to be. Also, there's going to be a 6-foot sidewalk on both sides here, south side and north side, and a 10-foot bike path on the other side. So there's going to be some of that green area there is going to be taken by the new University Boulevard project whenever that gets done. So the traffic problem alone is enough that concerns me. And that University Boulevard section there, you take your life in your hands if you're going to try to be negotiating that like the proposal is. Those cars come down from Crescent Ridge Road. It's like a slingshot, and they think they're on Talladega speed track, 50 and 60 miles per hour. Tri-axle dump trucks, 50 miles an hour. No traffic lights. Now, we've asked for traffic lights, can't get them. 18-wheelers, logging trucks, same thing. When I turn off of University from either direction to turn on 34th Avenue, I put my blinker on at least 100 yards before and watch my rearview mirror the whole time I'm there. Because my neighbors on 8th Street, one of them's already gotten rear-ended, but that is just such a dangerous highway. And try to put all those vehicles in there twice a day, exiting, I just don't see how it can be done. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else? Please come forward.
My name is Joshua Jarbo. I'm the owner of the property. Thank you guys for y'all's time today. One thing I want to say, everybody keeps addressing traffic. There's 50-something parking spaces on the building. I think that's plenty. If the traffic got backed up, you could always pull cars to a parking spot. That would be one solution for that. Another thing is this building's been empty for many years before we bought the building, and it's been empty for about almost 2 years now. And everybody that's requested to use this building has been either for like a hookah lounge, a liquor store, anything like that. I feel like a school is much more appropriate for the community than a bar or a liquor store or anything like that. So I know everybody's addressing traffic, but there's plenty of parking in that parking lot. And I'm very excited for the school to come here, so,
Thank you.
thank you.
Good evening.
3.
My name is Marvin Lucas. I live at 1 Beechwood, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, 35404. I don't live on that street or across the street from there, but I travel down University Boulevard there going to DCH almost every day, either that way or coming home through that way. That's a high-traffic area. Now, to put a school there and to do a variance on what the state and everybody say is what we need for space for a school, it is endangering children, our community, and the people that's driving up and down that road each and every day. Whether it's a micro school or whatever, when you give a variance like that, we or you or we all are endangering children. Because yes, you can pull a car in a parking spot, but if you ever see a drop off at any school, you have all those cars lined up, University Boulevard. It's still gonna be a problem. I strongly recommend that we take a stronger look at the traffic around this here space before we look this a variance on what this can do for our community. Yes, it would be nice to put something in that building that will help the community and make the community look good, but if it's a danger to children in our community, we need to reconsider it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak in favor? Anyone else would like to make comment? At this time, we'll allow the petitioner to give a rebuttal.
Thank you, ma'am. Should I introduce again, or are we good? My name's Charlie Beavers, here on behalf of the petitioner at 4301 Dolly Ridge Road, Birmingham, 35243. I've heard the word variance mentioned, and of course, I know you all know that we're not here for a variance. We're not looking at hardship standards and the like. We're looking at the special exception, which, as I understand, the criteria for that is that this particular use on this property is a permitted type of use as long as it does not create issues with certain specific areas that are mentioned in the ordinance and that the staff looks at. It is my understanding, it was our understanding until this afternoon that there were no issues that had been raised by any of staff, that this use on this property didn't raise any issues. There would be no basis on which to deny it. As we understand, the standard of review is not a subjective type thing. It's does it meet the criteria? We learned earlier this afternoon that questions had been raised by neighbors about traffic. That's the first time we were aware that that was an issue, and we were told that that the city engineer, because of issues raised, would require, before permitting, a traffic study and report to convince him and show him that traffic is not going to be an issue. And the primary concern there being traffic backed up in the pickup and drop off. When I learned that, I'm their lawyer, by the way. I didn't identify my role, sorry. I called Skipper Consultants, who we use a great deal and who I understand has a real good working relationship with this city and has done work in this city extensively. Skipper Consulting is a premier, excellent traffic consulting firm, and asked if they if we could engage them to study the traffic patterns, study the traffic in the area to the extent necessary to determine whether there would be any issues, and to design a plan for pickup and drop off that would not create issues so that we could present that to this city. That is, that's a legitimate concern. Had we known that that was a concern earlier, we would hopefully have been able to come here with that in hand, but we're not. What we would like to do is ask this board, finding that there are, and you want to check with staff, but that there are no bases on which to turn this down unless it were to be traffic. We would like an approval conditioned on that report coming to the city and being approved by your staff, or however you would want to do that. And we have some time constraints involved. Our folks weren't trying to be presumptuous, but in order to get children lined up and enrolled to open in August, they had to go on and start reaching out and soliciting students who might want to come. 27 families have already signed up to come. They actually have met at designated places within this immediate community and other communities throughout the city to see if there are students and families who would be interested. So they have reached out in that regard, and the response so far has been very good. 27 have already signed up to come. They're going to have quite a bit of work to do to get permitting and then get the construction, because I've been told the renovations actually are going to be quite extensive to make that building right on that first floor. So time is really important to be able to meet that. So our request would be that you consider approving it conditioned on two things. One, that the numbers of students is capped at 90, and that this city be presented with a traffic study and plan that that satisfies your staff that there is not a dangerous situation. Anything that goes here is going to have traffic, and there are a lot of uses that are permitted as a matter of zoning without having to come to this body or any other. They just have to go through permitting. And this is an opportunity to put something in this property that is going to be a positive thing for the community. Many of the students who are enrolled here are from that immediate community, and they've elected to have this type of education for their children, want to provide that opportunity for them. So we would ask that you consider giving an approval conditioned on no more than 90, and conditioned on a traffic report given to your city staff that they approve, or however else you would want to condition that. And I thank you for your time. We're happy to answer any other questions that you might have for Stephen or for me.
Any other questions?
So as far as your teachers, I know Stephen mentioned that most of the teachers are going to be virtual. How many actual on-premises employees will you have at the school?
All right, Stephen, I need that. And if I may just mention one time, is this as much for the folks that are here about this as anything, but that this isn't like a zoning case, where all the issues with the zoning. This is to look down the checklist of items to see that this is not a public safety hazard issue.
Well, part of the question is how many employees are you going to have, which will account for parking and the number of people, and then that'll count for traffic. So that's why we're asking the question.
Oh, no, that's fine. We have a problem with that. I just was saying that in a general manner. Thank you, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
So we will have 5 staff members on the campus with up to 90 students. So when I mentioned virtual teachers, and again, this can get into a philosophy of education, we utilize virtual teachers because they have a high effectiveness with students that are coming into us behind grade level and ahead of grade level. And so again, the way we kind of put students in different pods, we'll have some in-person teaching, some self-guided learning from students, and some use of the virtual teachers. But there will be 5 employees at the facility full-time.
Is that the question?
So there's teachers, if you have a secretary, 5 total.
5 total, yes, sir.
Okay, and will all transportation be provided by the parents? Since it's K through 8, of course, the kids won't be driving.
Correct.
Do you all have a van or bus, anything like that for you all?
We're not able to offer transportation.
Thank you. At this time, we'd like to close public comment and go to board comment, starting to my left. Rebuttal to, no, that, there was nothing.
It does state that any, oh my gosh, what am I trying to say? The bylaw says,
Any new information, I don't. Okay, you can come up, 2 minutes.
Just briefly, what you've just heard in the much longer than 2-minute rebuttal that was just presented to you basically comes down to a failure of due diligence. This is the application before you. The terms of the application or the terms of the petition are the terms of the petition. What you've heard today is not this petition. It is something that is substantially different. And their plan that they gave notice, whatever that may be, of, is what's in here. It's not what they're saying here today. This is before you. So just because they didn't realize that traffic is a problem there doesn't mean that traffic is not in fact a problem there. The people who live there understand that anytime you pull in or out of that parking lot, it is a roll of the dice. I used to be a customer at Jim Myers because I liked to go to a local pharmacy, even though at that time it was out of my way. Every time I pulled out, right or left, I held my breath. It is a dangerous location. And, you know, I know they're under time constraints to get this up and running. Even if they're only doing 3 classrooms, which is not the petition before you, they would still have a lot of work to do between now and then. If they had that much work to do, if they needed to do the traffic studies, if they needed to engage the community, the end of one school year may not be the right time to be bringing this before you for the beginning of next school year. That's a very quick turnaround. So don't be unnecessarily influenced by their urgency because, you know, this is what's before you. Thank you for allowing the rebuttal.
So at this time, I would like to close public comment. I don't believe anything new was addressed that had already been talked about. And so we will go to board comment, starting with Mr. Eatman.
I think, you know, of course, we're not here to vote on whether a school comes or not. I think we're here to vote on this special exception, on whether it's a proper use for this building. I do have some concern about the traffic. I do have some concern about approving without the traffic study. But I will defer to my other board members to see what they have to say on this one.
So just observing all the those against and for, there seems to be something about whether this is a good idea for a school in general, which we're not here to address. This is correct, staff. We are just voting on an exception for a building use. So if it was a hookah lounge, a bar, a school, another drugstore, it's another drugstore, we don't even have to vote right now because it was already approved for that. So I think the safety issue was the biggest thing that was brought up. It would be a safety issue regardless of what we approved to put here. This is probably true. You went to Jim Myers years ago and it was still a safety issue. So the property itself's got a traffic issue, but is the exception allowable? Is this a good use of a community function? So I would say I'm more along the lines of a conditional when we understand that traffic, is there a way to pull it down, you know, on the side here and pull people off immediately? Is this new improvement that was mentioned the city's doing on turn lanes, is that something that would come in? Now, that may take a year, but
No, it's not a turn.
understand, I'm just saying that there's opportunities for improvement as we go. So I don't know what they would do. So that's just my thought, that the safety needs to be the big concern about this, but again, it's going to be a concern for any exception.
I certainly like the idea of a school coming to the community more so than a liquor store or hookah lounge or other things that have been considered for the property. My concern is that as a parent who does drop off every day, that school drop-offs and pickups congest traffic at certain times of the day, in the mornings and in the afternoons. And so while I'm not opposed to this being used for a school, I want to see the traffic study before I approve anything, even conditional, at this point.
That's my biggest concern as well, is that once we approve it, as the petition is given before us and we approve it and just say, hey, we need a traffic analysis, that's the condition. So it's approved with 180 and it is approved with all the original information. And so I would like to see it written up like you presented it, and I'd like to see the traffic analysis before we approve it, because once we say, okay, everything is in motion, and if you don't do it, then it's on the city to come and check and make sure. But if we ask for it in the beginning, then you'll make it a priority, because it could be 5-6 months down the road, oh, we'll get to it, or we hadn't gotten it, So I'd like to see that first, because it has changed, and here it says 4 staff members serve 75 students. Now we hear it's going to start with 20, 25 kids, and then it can go a cap of 90. You're going to do the first floor instead of the whole building. Well, I've been in that building, so what's going to happen to the top floor? It's in disrepair, and so it's going to need a lot of improvements. So there are a lot of question marks still. So I'd like to see the traffic analysis, and I'd like to see you guys come back and for next month to show exactly what you're going to do, how it's going to be. I think it is a good use of the property. I'm okay with the school being there. I feel like it can be worked out. I mean, I feel like property is large enough with the amount of people that you're talking about having. I feel like it can work, but I like to see how it's going to work before we say okay. And let me ask, city attorneys, are we within our right to say?
We'll consent to it.
Okay.
I agree with my other board members and my board chair. Traffic is my biggest concern, and also the way the petition is actually presented. I would like to see a continuance of this petition till the next month. Let's look into a traffic study, and I actually have some recommendations that I would like to see as far as the traffic. So a right turn in only and a right turn out only. If you're only going to have 5 employees and you have 56 spaces, that means you have 50 available spaces that can be used. So instead of having a pick up and drop off on the front, you can have the front for your teachers parking. With this, it used to be a drive-through. So instead of having everyone come off of University Boulevard and bottleneck up in front of the school, they can actually circle the building and exit out where the drive-through was. So it's a lot of things that you can do to clear it up, and I would like to see a new rendering of the building to see how it's actually going to be set up. So those are some concerns that I would like to see addressed. Whether we're looking at this school or any other school, I know personally of 2 schools that traffic is horrible when you look at picking up and dropping off.
Most schools.
We're talking about University Boulevard, which is a 4-lane road. I can give you 2 schools right now that are on 2-lane roads. One of them is a highway, and when school is out, it's backed up, and you actually have large 18-wheelers coming through, and the traffic is at a standstill. So those are issues that I don't know if they weren't considered or what have you, but those are issues that seem to have been looked over when we're looking at large schools in the city. And anything we can do to make it as safe as possible, I would like for us to look into it. So I would like to have this continued until next month.
Okay. So I'll close board comments. So we would need the petitioner to come back up and ask for the continuance, and then we vote on that, or how do we do that?
Or any member of the, y'all can continue it of your own motion.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I'd like to move to continue this petition to next month.
Okay. Voting with Mr. Eatman?
Yes.
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 Petition is continued. Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to ZBA 1725, the Fairways HOA petitions for a variance from the minimum lot size and minimum setback regulations. This is on the properties located at 7601 through 7631, River Ridge Road Northeast, Zone LR, Council District 3. So here we have the zoning of those properties in the aerial view. Again, this is 15 properties within this subdivision. This is just an image of the front of that subdivision. So the petitioner is requesting a variance from the minimum lot size and minimum setback regulations. Because this neighborhood was developed previously as a plan unit development, this was under previous zoning ordinance, in order to redraw, in order to redo the property lines, as you'll see in the site plan, the petitioner must request a variance from the updated setback and lot size requirements. The intention is to place each dwelling on its own lot instead of being located on a commonly owned piece of land. Again, you'll see this in the site plan. And the petitioner states that granting the variance will allow for more convenient and reasonable improvement to the existing single-family home. So this is our applicable regulations for lake residential. You see the front setback, side setback, lot width, lot area. This is the proposed plan. And then here is an existing versus proposed, just to shine some light on what the request actually is. So currently, under the existing, you have individual lots or individual houses. So the dashed lines that you see are actually the property lines. And then everything else around it, as you can see, called out. Our cursor is not working very well. But you can see common area mentioned here, common area mentioned here. Essentially, everything outside of the house is owned by the HOA. So, in order to redraw those property lines, as you see under the proposed plan, to actually create a lot that accounts for your front yard, your backyard, they would have to receive a variance in order for that to be approved. Again, this was developed as some type of plan unit development previously. It does not conform to the current code, so in order to do this, they must request a variance, and here are those variances for each lot within the subdivision. Again, this request is on behalf of the HOA of the subdivision. We do have representatives here from the HOA, and we have the representative here in person. Do you have any questions for staff? That's correct. It'll all be done. That's correct. Yes, it'll be done for each individual lot.
Thank you. I just repeated that we will approve all this at one time because the HOA owns all the property.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. Any more questions?
Go ahead.
Madam Chairman, members of the commission, I'm Al Cabaniss with Cabaniss Engineering, representing the Fairways HOA. Jonathan did a great job with that, so I don't have a lot more to add. I'll give you a very brief history of this. The very first plat, one of the plats Jonathan was showing you there was the one on the left. That was recorded about late 1989, early 1990. So that was the beginning of the Fairways. It was identified on the master plan of North River as this type of development, as was the villas, which are the attached townhomes just north of here. And I can at least say that plat was well before my time, and I don't get to say that much anymore, so I like to throw that in when I can. But so the villas were, they're privately owned, but they're attached townhomes. Joe Duckworth at Duckworth Morris bought this, and I did the development for him. And we had also done Bedford Place, which is not part of this. It's on Indian Hills Country Club. And it was similar concept. You buy the house you own, fee simple, is the outside walls of your house, face of the brick. And everything else is common property. Bedford Place is a good bit like the villas in that those are a series of attached townhomes. So having common property makes a lot of sense. These being separated homes, they're detached homes, you kind of feel like, well, where's my yard? Well, you really don't have a yard. So the HOA has gotten together and they voted unanimously to just add lot lines and turn this into, each house on its own single lot. As it is today, if Joe and I live next door to each other and I want to go plant an oak tree or magnolia tree or whatever, I got to go to the HOA, they got to have a vote. Yeah, you can plant the tree there. It just gets a little cumbersome. I think just because these were detached homes, you get more of that where you wouldn't have really gotten that with the developments that are attached. So that's what we're doing. several members of the neighborhood are here. Each of the HOA consists of all the lot owners. There are of course, the street right-of-way is where it is, the utility easements are where they are on the front, and then in the back, of course, the lot line against the golf course. So those are defined, those are in where they need to be. We did identify specific setback request. Of course, the ones on the front and rear won't change because we're not building anything. I would like to have a little bit of flexibility on those side setbacks. Just when we flag the lines, all the neighbors are going to want to look, they're going to want to see. We're looking at cross tower retaining walls, we're looking at things like that. And setbacks are 10 feet, several of them are fine, very few variances that I need. The worst one is 6.5, down to 6.5 feet. To meet building code, I gotta have at least 5. So I realize you gotta vote on something and you need to vote on this chart I gave you, but if there's some way we could do a plus or minus a foot on the sidelines, I'd like to be able to do that. Nothing on the front or rear, just something on that we can look at retaining walls and trees and water features and things like that and get those, as close to where the neighbors want them as possible. Be glad to ask any questions. I know you've had a long night already, so
Any questions?
thank you.
I think Paul has one.
I have a question for the city. So was this considered a prior non-conforming? or-
Yes. Yeah, so they're making it probably more conforming, I would guess.
Yeah, we're actually more conforming now than we
Yeah.
would have been and had,
Kind of a weird situation.
yeah, kind of going the opposite way. Instead of taking single family and trying to turn it into a PUD or something, we're undoing a PUD and turning it back into just a plain ordinary single family subdivision.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We didn't have a sign-up sheet. Is there anybody that needs to speak for or against? Okay. At this time, we'll close public comment. We'll go to board comment. Mr. Eatman?
I have no issue with this petition.
I'm supportive.
Makes sense, I'm supportive.
No issues. I'm in support as well.
Yeah, I have no issues with this being a variance. I can see the hardship. I'm in favor.
Okay. He said he can see the hardship with it being a variance. Okay. At this time, we'll close board comment, and I will read, I guess I didn't read the petition on the last, we didn't have to read it, was a continuous, okay. So we'll read the petition, ZBA-17-25, the Fairways HOA petitions for a variance from the minimum lot size and minimum setback regulations on the properties located at 7631 through 7601 River Ridge Road, Northeast Zoned, LR Council District 3. I would like to add that it is like it is presented before us, and no deviation from there.
Right.
So do we need to say that or stipulate that?
No, you're okay.
Okay, all right. Voting on Mr. Eatman?
Yes.
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 Petition approved.
All right, next case is ZBA 1825, Thomas and Laura Gonering petitions for a variance from the minimum lot width regulations. This is to construct townhomes on the property at 202 16th Street and 210 16th Street, Zone MR2, Council District 2. Here we have the zoning of the property as well as that aerial view, then a view of those existing structures on site. So the request is for a variance from the minimum lot width regulations to build a townhome development. This is a bit of an interesting case as well. The new current ordinance states that no townhouse lot shall be less than 1/3 wide as it is deep. The previous zoning ordinance stated that no townhouse, so take away lot, but no townhouse shall be less than 1/3 wide as it is deep. And that was the intention, to carry that message forward, that regulation forward, which this development does meet that regulation. So there's a bit of an error. The petitioner states that the code section would result in unrealistic building dimensions. So here we have the townhome development, the site plan as proposed. the way that the ordinance was intended to be written, this plan would meet. The way it is currently written, it does not. And I'll let Mr. Pons answer any questions about the zoning itself, but we did not receive any public comment on this request, and we do have the representative here in person.
So it meets the spirit of it, but not the letter of it.
That's correct.
Yeah, so just to clarify, the process to do a code update, which we are going through that process, it's going to Planning and Zoning Commission and then to City Council for final approval. And so we are bringing that forward to City Council. It's just the process is pretty lengthy and it would really hold up quite a few these are the first two, but it's not the first two conversations we've had about this specific issue.
So we will be seeing a few of these.
You might, yeah, depending on how quickly we can get those code updates to council.
Okay. Thank you.
Chairman, members of the commission, Al Cabinets of Cabinets Engineering. This is representing Bill Plott's family. Bill built the two original houses here years ago. And this is actually a plan he had in mind eons ago as well. But yeah, when you read the ordinance, when you tend to memorize ordinances, you get into the ordinance, you look at it. I didn't even notice that the word lot had been put in there, but this doesn't really make sense. It forces you into a very, very shallow townhouse. The ordinance, as it was intended to be written, is a really good idea because it keeps you from doing some crazy dorm-style 40-foot deep by 15-foot wide thing. So it's the way it's intended to be. It really needs to be there, and it's a good thing. I just get to be the guinea pig sometimes. So. But I appreciate your help on this.
All right, thank you. We don't have anybody signed up to speak for or against, so at this time, we'll close public comment and go to board comment. Mr. Eatman?
I have no issue with the petition. I'm in favor.
I'm in favor as well.
Yeah, given the pending amendment to the language, I have no issues.
I agree with my fellow board members.
I'm in favor.
All right, at this time, we'll close board comment, and I'll read the petition. ZBA-1825, no, ZBA, that's it? Okay. 1825, Thomas and Laura Gonering, petition for a variance from the minimum width regulations on the property located at 202 16th Street and 210 16th Street, zoned MR-2, Council District 2. Voting with Mr. Eaton?
Yes.
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 Petition approved.
Next case is ZBA 1925, WM Premier Properties LLC, petitions for a variance from the minimum lot width regulations, again, to construct townhomes. This is on the property at 1002 19th Street, Zone MR1, Council District 2. So here we have the zoning of the property as well as that aerial view. Those houses have since been demolished, so it's currently a vacant lot. This is the exact same request, just a different piece of property. So again, the intention of the previous ordinance, this site plan is being met, but of course, according to the area in the zoning ordinance, it is not being met. And then here we have that applicable regulations. It states no townhouse lot. That should just read no townhouse shall be less than 1/3 as wide as it is deep. We did not receive any public comment, and we do have the representative here in person. Thanks.
Chairman, members of the board, Al Cabinets, Cabinets Engineering again. Same case as before, very similar size piece of property. This is for a new developer who's never done this before, and he got here just in time for a new zoning ordinance, so he's learning it real well here. But it's the same thing here, very similar to the development. These are a little wider and shallower, but and I will say, if 400 pages of a new zoning ordinance, if a word or two here, there's all there is, that's pretty good. So, anyway. Any questions? Thank you.
You heard that compliment, Zach, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, I heard it.
We'll close or does anybody want to speak for or against this petition? At this time, we'll close public comment, and we'll go to board comment. Mr. Eatman?
I have no issue with the petition. I'm in favor.
No issues.
No issues.
I agree with my fellow board members.
I have no issues. I'm in favor.
Okay. We'll close board comment. I'll read the petition. ZBA-19-25 WM Premier Properties LLC petitions for a variance from the minimum widths regulation on the property located at 1002 19th Street, Zone MR-1, Council District 2. Voting with Mr. Eatman.
Yes.
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 Petition approved.
All right, we'll move to our short-term rentals. This is ZBA 2025, Kim Howard petitions for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a property located at 5140 Greenview Drive, Unit A. This property is zoned SFR2, Council District 1. So here we have the zoning of the property as well as an aerial view. An image of the surrounding short-term rentals. There are none in this area currently. Here we have a picture of the house as well as that parking area. So the petitioner is requesting a special exception to allow the short-term rental of the dwelling. Bobby and Kim Howard would be the primary contacts and would be available 24 hours a day in case of an emergency. The petitioners have over 30 years of experience managing 6 rental properties. This duplex unit is equipped with security cameras and additional lighting. The house is not owner-occupied, and it will remain vacant when it's not being used short-term. The duplex has 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. The request is for 4 adults and 2 vehicles, and if approved, staff recommends 4 adults and 2 vehicles. We did not receive any public comment. We have the representative here in person. Do you have any questions for staff? Thanks.
Ms. Kim Howard?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Kim Howard. I live at 5220 Clover Road, Tuscaloosa, Alabama. So this is a piece of property that we have that we would like to do short-term rental in.
Do you all have the rules and regulations in the home?
Yes, we do. I did receive those, and we have got those in order.
Okay. Now, explain us, we were looking at it as a duplex. Is it 1 bedroom and one on one side, or how is it a duplex?
No, there's, it is a duplex, and there's, on one side, there's 2 bedrooms and a bath, a living area, kitchen, and the other side. But no 2 people have to see one another. There are 2 separate interests.
So will you be doing short-term rental on both sides or just one side of it?
On one side.
Okay.
Will anybody be in the other unit?
Excuse me?
Will anyone be occupying the
No,
other unit
on
when
the-
you're
on the-
short-term there?
no.
It's just gonna be vacant at that time.
Right.
So how do we haven't had a duplex like that before, so do we have to put some stipulations? We've had houses in the back that we said they couldn't occupy, so how would we phrase that?
So since this is an existing duplex, and it would be identified to be able to be multiple families dwelling in this, under the same roof, essentially. So there's really no special stipulations or anything that you need to put in.
So if we approve it, would they only be able to do that one side, or could they
Right.
do both?
Only Unit A, which is what they're
Okay,
requesting.
all right, just want to make sure.
So I have a question. In the future, if we decide to do the other side, we have to go through the same process again?
They would
Is
have to
that
come
correct?
back. Yes, you
ma'am.
would have to
You'd
come back.
Okay, okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
Is the second duplex side B, do they have 2 bedrooms also?
Yes. 2 bedrooms and a bath.
That's all the questions.
I think one other thing, you mentioned you have the rules and you've got security.
Cameras, yes, we do.
One of the things we talked about here is noise. If you end up doing the second one, they have these noise registry devices that can tell you if somebody's making too much noise. That might be something to consider.
I live just feet.
Okay, so you're gonna be the noise.
You're the noise.
All right, fine. I did not know.
And I don't think nobody called the police like we do.
Guys,
So, yeah,
okay.
okay,
Thank you so much, Ms. Howard.
thank you.
We don't have anybody signed up to speak for or against. Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to speak for or against this petition? Okay, at this time, we'll close public comment and begin with board comment. Mr. Eatman?
I have no issue with the petition. I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
I have no issues with the exception for Unit A.
Okay.
For what, 4 adults, 2 vehicles?
Yes. Okay, I'm in agreement as well.
Yeah, I have no issues. I'm in favor of staff recommendations.
Okay, we'll close board comment. I'll read the petition. ZBA 20-25, Kim Howard petitions for a special exception to allow a short-term rental of a property located at 5140 Greenview Drive, Unit A, Zone SFR-2, Council District 1, with 4 adults, 2 vehicles, 30 nights, and 1 year probation. Voting with Mr. Eatman?
Yes.
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 Petition approved.
Next case is ZBA 2125, Chris Lyons petitions for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of the property located at 69 Springbrook, Zone SFR2, Council District 7. Here we have the zoning of the property as well as that aerial view. And there are a couple of short-term rentals in the general area. Here we have a view of the primary structure and then a close-up of the parking area. So the request is for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a dwelling. Chris Lyons will be the primary contact and be available 24 hours a day. The petitioner currently manages 1 short-term rental property in the Tuscaloosa area. This house will be equipped with exterior cameras and keypad locks. It is not owner-occupied, and it will remain vacant when it's not being used short-term. The house has 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. The petitioner requests 8 adults and 4 vehicles. If approved, staff recommends 6 adults and 3 vehicles based on parking. We did receive 1 comment in opposition to this request. We have the representative here in person. Do you have any questions for staff?
No questions?
Thanks.
Mr. Lyons?
I'm Chris Lyons. I live in 12165 Shoal Ridge, Northport, Alabama, 35475. And like he went over, we're just looking to get our STR permit so we can improve the community by investing in the house and making it look good and helping people have a very pleasant experience in Tuscaloosa.
Okay. And you've got a short-term rental now that you
Yes,
are
ma'am.
operating? Okay. Any question?
Where's your other short-term rental?
It's on 17th Avenue behind Home Depot.
You're the point of contact?
Yes, me and my wife, yes.
Now, how do, you're okay with the 6 and 3?
Oh, I'm fine with that. That's perfectly fine.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
We don't have anybody signed up to speak for or against. Is there anybody in the audience that'd like to speak for or against? At this time, we'll close public comment, go to board comment. Mr. Eatman.
I'm in favor of staff recommendation of 6 and 3.
I agree with 6 and 3.
I agree also.
I'm in agreement with staff recommendations of 6 and 3.
I have no issues. I'm in favor.
Okay. At this time, we'll close board comment. I'll read the petition. ZBA-21-25, Chris Lyons petitions for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a property located at 69 Springbrook, Zone SFR-2, Council District 7. Voting with Mr. Eatman.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Petition approved.
Next case is ZBA 2225, Bama B&B Kim Roberts petitions for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a property located at 60 Sherwood Drive on SFR 1H, Council District 4. Here we have the zoning as well as that aerial view, and then a view of all the short-term rentals in the general area. Here we have a picture of the house and the parking. The request is for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a dwelling. Bama Vacation Rentals will be the primary contacts and be available 24 hours a day. This company has over 15 years of experience as a property management company. The house is equipped with signs, roll forms, cameras, keypad locks, lock boxes, and a noise detection system. It is not owner-occupied, and it will be used for long-term rentals when it's not being used short-term. The house has 4 bedrooms and 4.5 bathrooms. The request is for 8 adults and 4 vehicles. Staff does approve 8 adults and 4 vehicles. Engineering stated that 1 car must be parked inside the garage. We did not
Go back
receive.
to the picture.
What's that?
Will you go back to the picture
Yes.
for me?
Oh, let me go back one more. It's not the best photo, so I can pull this up on Google Maps if we need a better.
If you can,
View.
once she comes
Yeah.
up, you'll do that for us.
Will the carport hold 2 vehicles?
Engineering felt comfortable with one. I don't know if it can hold two.
So if the carport can hold one,
The idea is that two could be stacked theoretically in the driveway area. They specified that they would prefer one to be, at least one to be able to access the garage.
Okay. All right, Ms. Roberts, Moondale.
Hello, Kim Roberts, 46 Sherwood Drive. We're actually directly across the street from this property, and the owners are completely gutting and remodeling this house. Your question about the carport, yes, 2 cars will fit in there next to each other. There's a lot of stuff in there right now because it's kids that are living there, students that have been there, so right now you would not be able to park 2 cars in there, but you will very shortly. And there's plenty of room in the driveway as well.
That's a standard size carport.
It is. It's a 4-bedroom, 4.5 bath house.
And you personally live across the street?
Our bed and breakfast, the Bama
Okay.
bed and breakfast is directly across.
Okay.
So usually we don't stack 2 cars.
You can,
Do it.
you usually do stack 2 cars, so you can
Well,
have
that's what
2
I'm
and 2.
saying on both sides, 2 and
Yeah,
2.
because the driveway will hold 2 side by side. And the driveway's long enough, you can have 4 in there because these kids are, usually there's 6 of them
I
that
agree
are
with
staying
the,
in that
I
house.
agree with the length.
Okay. Any other questions? Ms. Roberts, in the spirit of this forward, I just want to ask you, how many rentals do you have now?
Over,
I'm just
over 100.
I don't know why Ms. Ford would always ask her that.
I feel like I spend every month up here with y'all.
Any more questions for Ms. Roberts? So 2 can we stipulate 2 in the garage or just 1? That's engineering said
I
1.
think if you go 4, you should put 2 in the garage. That doesn't make
Yeah.
sense necessarily.
2 and 2, 2 in the garage and 2, okay. All right, anything else? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, there's no one to speak for or against, so at this time we'll close public comment and go to board comment.
I have no issue with the petition. I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
I usually am not in favor of an 8 and 4th. To me, that's getting close to a party house, but because it is across the street from the bed and breakfast, I feel like the area is conducive to it, so.
yeah, I have no issues. I'm in favor with this added stipulation of 2 vehicles being in the garage.
Okay, we'll close board comment. I'll read the petition. ZBA-22-25, Bama B&B Rentals, Kim Roberts petitions for a special exception to allow a short-term rental of a property located at 60 Sherwood Drive, Zone SFR-1H, Council District 4. 8 adults, 4 vehicles, 30 nights, 1 year. Voting with Mr. Eatman?
Yes.
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 Petition approved. All right, Mr. Jonathan, let's go.
Slow getting up. This is our last one of the night, ZBA 2325, Bama B&B Rentals, Kim Roberts petition for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a property. This is at 904 16th Avenue, Zone MRU-H, Council District 4. Here we have the zoning of the property, as well as that aerial view and the plethora of short-term rentals in the area. And then here's an image of the house, as well as that parking area. So this is a request for special exception to allow the short-term rental of a dwelling. Bama Vacation Rentals will be the primary contacts and be available 24 hours a day. Petitioner has 15 years of experience as a property management company, and the house is equipped with signs, rule forms, cameras, keypad locks, lock boxes, and a noise detection system. It is not owner occupied, and it'll be used for long-term rentals when it's not being short-term rented. The house has 3 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. The request is for 6 adults and 3 vehicles. If approved, staff recommends 4 adults and 2 vehicles, and cars must access the shared drive And there is a small gravel area to the north of this property. Engineering has said no parking in the gravel because it looks like it's mostly in the right-of-way, so they must access and use that shared drive for the parking.
Okay. All right, thank you. Ms. Roberts?
So I specifically talked with the owner today because he stated this is not a shared driveway, that it belongs just to this property. Do you have different information?
We have worked previously with the property owner. It said this request was approved by the Historic Preservation Commission as a shared drive. The property line runs essentially through the driveway, through the middle of the
So
driveway.
it is a shared one, because apparently the owner's not aware of
Yes.
that. So I specifically asked him that because it goes right up next to that other house. And then there's also a gravel driveway. And what is the issue with using that?
The engineering office, it appears to be able to get a car. It would be pretty much in the right-of-way, so they were not comfortable with using parking in terms for the short-term rental for this.
Okay. It's a regular driveway, so I wasn't sure why they've had long-term renters in there using it as a driveway. So is there anything against that?
Short-term
or-
and long-term are totally different. We are very
I realize
strict on
that.
short-term.
We do a mix, of course, of long-term and short-term, so, but anyway, it is a 3-bedroom, 3-bath house, and so you can certainly stack 2 there, but we had planned on also using that gravel driveway as well for the other car.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Roberts?
Question for the city. So if it's considered a shared driveway and the staff recommendation is 4 and 2, are we saying just stack those 2 along one side?
Right. Yeah, y'all have seen some shared driveways in the past, so, yeah, just specifying that,
We have
it's got to be on
multiple
your portion
properties
of
that
the
are shared
driveway.
driveways, and we have specific language we use with our guests on how to handle a shared driveway.
Mhm.
So these two properties are not the same owner?
No, this is the property on the right, so, but I will let him know that's a shared
Yeah,
driveway.
Wouldn't there be an easement somewhere recorded if you're sharing a driveway?
So that
Somebody
would
had
be
to-
handled outside of this. They should have that recorded, the property owners of these two properties.
But it could have been so long.
Whether they do or
It's
not is
lost
up.
now.
Okay?
Okay, thank you. So we're closing public comment, going with board comment. Ms. Streetman?
I have no issue. I'm in favor of staff recommendation of 4 and 2.
I agree with staff recommendation.
I agree as well.
I agree with staff recommendation with stipulation, no parking in the gravel space.
I'm in favor of staff recommendation.
Okay, I'll read closed board comment. I'll read the petition. ZBA-23-25, Bama B&B Rentals, Kim Roberts petitions for a special exception to allow the short-term rental of a property located at 904 16th Avenue, Zone MRUH, Council District 4. 4 adults, 2 vehicles, 30 nights, 1 year probation, and no parking in the gravel space. Voting with Mr. Eatman?
Yes.
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 Petition approved.